Welcome to Turning Tuesday. This week I am making a teaspoon and I am also having a little bit of a play. So I went and dug through my Mallee box, which I love, and I picked that up pretty cheap. And I then got some reference pieces and went to cut them to size. I am hoping that I can pull off a miracle and turn a teaspoon out of a piece of burl. So I've got two candidates there that don't seem to have too many cracks or voids in, so I'm hoping they will do alright. And the other set that I'm going to make is the piece of wood, which is Victorian bushfire black wood. This was the wood from Turn SA, and this one's got a crack in it, so I'm going to take that crack off and use that pith section as my blanks. So I'll take that slide off, then there. I'll then square this up and leave that, because I do still intend to make the project for that challenge. That challenge was a bud vase and a couple of different types of flowers. So there was that piece for the bud vase and then some smaller pieces for the flowers. So that could be interesting, and yeah, so that's what I'm hoping to do today, and there's no guarantee it will come off. So we'll find out. Right, so we've been over the plan of attack, and now I'm going to go over what actually happened, because that was recorded before I started anything, before I did the bandsaw cuts, before anything. So this video very nearly became the next Fubar Friday. So Sid and I are doing a collaborative approach on any major mistakes we make. So if there's a funnel made in a bowl, or if there's something that's really not right, we still record it, we still release it. We just do that on a Friday instead of a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And Sid's got the first episode. I've not messed up to get the second episode yet. This one almost did get released but I managed to pull this video back. The day I was turning these was only a couple of days after my mother passed away, and I was not in the right headspace to edit properly or do any deep analysis on what went wrong. So I dug through my box, I pulled out a silky blank, and that's why I released the silky video last week. Don't get me wrong, that was always going to be a video, it just wasn't planned for last week. It was probably going to be 3 or 4 weeks time, but it was an absolute cracker of a bowl, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. Anyway, so moving on to this actual project, I actually turned the complete set. I turned a starter piece, and then this was the third piece that I recorded. The first two pieces recorded with absolutely no audio, and so when I was digging through the footage of those ones, I realized that, no, this isn't going to work. If you can hear those little beeps in the background there, that's my Trend Air Shield Pro that is not working. Battery's dying, and I quickly turned it off to see what was making the racket, and that's what it was. So it's now on charge, and I chose to continue without it because I'm not working with a particularly dangerous wood. Don't get me wrong, all wood is dangerous, and I didn't sand until it was fully charged. So turning the handle on this Mallee blank, I wanted a nice rounded back and a nice taper down, so it's nice and skinny down towards the actual spoon head. So right now I've got the tool tip down with that skew, and I went in a little too heavy at the start, but I was always going to go in on that taper. It was just too steep at that time. Needed to come out and work a little bit more because Mallee is extremely hard, so just needed to be a little bit more patient and gentle. And as there's no real grain structure, there's no real strength, so It's a bit of a fun one where I genuinely did not know if any of these would survive. And so this was the second of the 3. I haven't turned the third one at the time of recording this. I haven't turned the third one. It's still sitting down there, and it could be better again, because it has a lot more sapwood again. Okay, so I have jump cut there. I've got my PAPR back on, and I'm just whipping through the sanding. And I quickly learned that I sanded this far too quickly. So when I went to do the next portion of this video, I suddenly realized that no, I'm not gentle enough with the sanding disc, and I nicked the handle. So I had to come back and redo it anyway, so I should have just left it all to the end. But here I am, sanded to 400, putting some Triple E on twice, because I like that effect. And then I put some oil on. Got the echidna socks out again, putting some oil on, that is chopping board oil. And then I pulled out the sanding disc. As you can see, I'm just rocking back and forward, getting that nice curvature. I'm checking it frequently, so I'm doing probably 10 or 15 seconds of sanding. This is 80 grit sandpaper, so it's taking almost no time at all. It's disappearing before my eyes, and I've got to be very careful. And then we clean it up, and we go to hollowing. I've mounted my C-clamp vise, which I use for sharpening my chainsaw, on the back of the banjo. So I've got the banjo flipped around, and I've just got it mounted on there. It's not really taking any weight, and yeah. So I use this little C-clamp vise for sharpening my chainsaw as well. And I'm just buzzing through with some burrs with my Dremel. Now, sadly, I must admit that when I started with 80 grit with the hand sanding on this, it was nowhere near coarse enough. So, I was messaging with Sid, and I believe it was about 45 minutes in total of hand sanding. If I had started with 40 instead of 80, probably would have only been 20. But, it came out alright in the end. So this is, the capacity of this spoon is actually significantly more than a standard teaspoon, but the size of it is teaspoon size. It's probably about a teaspoon and a half capacity, so a heap teaspoon if it were flattened off. Now, having done this with these tiny little burrs, I have since purchased a cutsole kit. So this is just an El Cheapo Amazon kit, and it does the job, absolutely does the job really well. But they're not quite large enough for what I needed here, so I went and got a cutsole 5-piece kit with a 1/8 inch shank, so it fits in the Dremel, and yeah. That should be my moving forward piece. Yeah, I haven't tested that out yet. It only arrived in the mail today. So, maybe over the weekend I'll see how it goes. So, as I just said, it took me 45 minutes to hand sand. So, I didn't record a single second of that, because I knew I was in for a hard slog, as this was the second burl one I had attempted, and knew that sanding was an absolute pain. So I skipped over it, and now I'm just buffing. So I applied some Triple E to it, and then I buffed the Triple E in using my buffing wheel. So I just did it gently first, then I cranked up the speed. I've got the tailstock there just for adding a little bit of pressure back so the Jacob's shuck doesn't fly out, because that is cranking. I think that's running probably 3000 RPM. And then I applied some oil. Again, chopping board oil, so extremely food safe. It is a lemon oil, and what an absolute little cracker. I'm loving the shades of the red and the sapwood in there. It's absolutely my favorite one so far. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. If not, please consider watching another video and see if I've earned a subscribe. Also, hi Sid. This was Almost Football Friday episode 2, but not there. Thanks for watching everyone, I really appreciate it. Please leave your feedback below.